What is up, track and field fans? Welcome to day 2 of the 2024 U.S. Olympic Trials here in Eugene, Oregon. I'm Chris Chavez, joined by Anderson Emerald, and we've got a just stacked lineup of guests taking place today. I think the beauty of this show that we try and do every single day is that we're just working the phone, trying to see who's in town. They could be athletes, they could be coaches. We got some VIPs coming through, and we're going to kick things off with one of the most decorated U.S. track and field athletes of all time. In trying to just do justice to the intro for her, it's like I'm having trouble keeping count of like all of the titles. So 2012 Olympic gold medalist, 2-time Olympic silver medalist, 4-time world champion, Brittney Reese. What else am I missing?
I mean, 3 indoor world golds. I think a world indoor silver, number 2 American all time. Like, Brittney Reese is goated.
There's so much. So I'm going to hand my mic off over to Caitlin Hutchison, and we're going to bring on Brittney Reese right about now. Let's give it up for Brittney Reese, everybody. Go for it.
After you. Grab everyone.
We get to talk the greatness today.
Listen, we're sitting next to a goat. I
tell her off camera we just gonna have to make her read off her World Athletics profile because he just got too much stuff going on.
Yes, got a lot.
Well, how's it feel to be here in Eugene?
It's great. I was just here like 2 weeks ago for Prefontaine, and now I'm back, being able to watch, all the athletes do their thing. So I'm excited about it.
So what you doing out here? Like, you just out here for fun? You watching? You got work to do? What's going on?
A little bit of both. I'm a Track Town ambassador, jump ambassador, so I'm here with them. And then I'm also doing my own thing where we have our guest suite where we're giving out gift bags to athletes from different sponsors and stuff at the hotel. So, and then we got the Gold Medal Mixing podcast coming out, and we're just doing a lot of work and trying to, bring track, give that track that feel that NBA has and then NFL has.
Nice. And talk about being a Tracktown ambassador, right? You've been to Eugene so many times, the competition, and then now in your post-athletic career. Like, what it's like being an ambassador, and what is it that you do? It's
great. I feel like it's needed in our sport, far as the field part of track and field. The field part doesn't really get as much love as the track part. So, partnering with Tracktown, and all I'm doing is basically just getting the crowd involved, meet some kids, and getting kids excited about the field part.
So when people, as you said, like sometimes when people think of track and field, they're like, track is the only interesting portion of it all. But what are some things that you have found really interesting about being a field adventure that yourself that you're just like, what, like field event really is tough.
Yeah, it's tough. But people don't understand, field event brought in a lot of the medals in the World Championships, and we just don't. We do our thing when it comes to that, and it just doesn't get the love. But I found out, just being a part of in the stands and things like that, that the fans really do love field events, and they know a lot of our stories, and it's just unfortunate that it just doesn't get shown on TV as much, and so that's where I come in. I'm trying to make it to where we can find a common ground so we can get the athletes their love just as much as the sprinters and the distance runners get.
And I mean, that's facts too, because when I was at the World Championships in Budapest last year, when I tell you the stadium would like scream for like 20 minutes straight when there was track and field going on, you got some athletes running around on the track, but then Katie Moon jumping, everybody, Mondo jumping, everybody like, oh my God, my hand hurts. I need us to chill. But as you said before, like field event definitely has like some rich, like love and like stories to it. And as you said, I think that there's definitely some creative ways that we can try to like get field event on TV for people to really care about it.
Exactly. I feel like we've grabbed like some street meets, do a couple street meets, compared to you jumping how far a car is. Put a car on the side. It's different ways that we can do it. I've jumped at airports. I've jumped overseas in different venues, and maybe we can try that for right now. Michael Johnson got something good going on with the sprinters, so maybe we can try to find something for the jumpers and the throwers.
Yeah, I mean, well, we can maybe talk about that, right?
Yeah.
Of course, Michael Johnson unveiled, the Grand Prix that's going to be going down next year. Yeah. Field events weren't included, right? Maybe in the future, but what are your kind of thoughts on that, and maybe building on some of the ideas that you have?
Yeah, the first thing I did was mention my manager. I texted him. I was like, now what can we do for field events? Because it's a great thing to see. It was unfortunate that Michael Johnson had something going on, and then Gabby Thomas has hers, and again, no field events. But we just have to find a way to bring something like that to the field events. It's probably going to take a couple years or two, but the conversation has now got started, so maybe we can we can figure something out.
So what would it look like for you? So let's say like, okay, you're Michael Johnson right now. You're in his shoes and you want to create a field event league for yourself. Like, what would that look like for you if you had some ideas?
One idea I really kind of thought was jump per round. So per round, you get paid per round, win that round, and then at the end, you money.
Low key, you said to me I gotta be a jumper. Like,
This is actually crazy.
No, I'm actually a fan of that. So that's the thing though. So how do you think that we can? How would we tell those stories like on television? Like, okay, so and so is about to jump. Like they have the opportunity to win like $100,000 if they jump this far at this round and stuff like that.
Yes, it'll have to be. You know, you have to grab. You know, some of the top athletes and some of the local athletes and or you know the athletes that are coming up and coming, and you just got to tell their story every time they get on the runway, and they might have to go back and forth. Like can't always do like long jump, triple jump, high jump. You know, you got to Each city could probably have a different event, and then you just jump per like if the height is 6'6", you know, the bonus for $20,000 6'6". You know. I just feel like that's probably the best way to get it because $100,000 on the line, jump per round, or
like,
per height.
You're immediately getting me thinking about. I remember the 2016 Olympics. You and Tiana Madison were like going back and forth, right?
Yeah.
And there was like crazy story in there.
Paid, huh?
Exactly, right?
What is money at? Come on, you know, talk about the bread.
That was like an amazing experience. I think like you can translate some of those stories and that back and forth round by round into what we have going on today because we still got the personalities.
Yeah,
and they deserve to be paid.
And I went in Germany one time and we did a meet where it was long jump, men and women, pole vault, and we were competing with Team USA against Team Germany against Team Britain against Team Russia, and it was only 3 of us. And each round I will jump, Will will jump, and then our pole vaulter will jump. And then whoever wins that round is by points.
See, even stuff like that, I think is like really dope because something like when we're talking about track and field as an entire sport, something that people also critique is like, well, there's no like teams to root for. Like it's really difficult to just pick one person and like really care about. But like what you're talking about, you can make it a team aspect because that's why people like NCAA track and field. They're like, okay, well, I've been attached to Texas Tech since whenever or Oregon since whenever. So okay, maybe I don't know a whole bunch about that track team, but I'm a root for them because like that's my alma mater or like I have some type of attachment to them. So I feel like that's a way that we could definitely do it. And I think even in 2022 or 2023 for Worlds, I think what I thought this was like, like we're going to score the meet. Like we're going to score it based on points or whoever got the most amount of medals. And like, honestly, when you're talking about like USA and Jamaica, you know, when it comes down to a team fight, we're going to be in.
Exactly. It's a lot of ways that we can play with it. It just, we got to get the funding behind it and just work everybody's brains. And
everybody call my phone right now. Please, if you want to donate some money, we're gonna do a whole field event thing. I don't know what it's gonna look like, who's gonna be in charge, but we're gonna make some shit.
We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. We go.
Well, so let's talk about some of because we got some storylines that are kind of playing out now where in the long jump and the triple jump all across the board in the field events. But one of the top names we got right now is Tara Davis-Woodhull, right? She is like very likely going to be going to the Olympics in contention for a gold medal. I mean, what do you think of Tara's progression and like the long jump as a whole?
Yeah, so I've been watching Tara for a minute, and I think it was the last Olympics, she didn't get to where she wanted to be. I think she placed like 6th or something. She was, really strutting. I just basically told her, look, I'm finna be gone. Girl, it's you. It's all you right here. So I'm glad to see that she's finally putting her all into it, and she's rising to the occasion. I mean, she could break the American record. She's on she's young. So
the American record.
And she,
I mean, I couldn't do it. Somebody could do it.
Well, she did mention that like this year is like the first year that she's like really putting like everything into it. Yeah. And obviously not like she wasn't, putting effort into it beforehand, but whatever she started to change like behind closed doors, whether it was with physicality, mentality, or all of it, all of the above, she's really doing something to really try to like set herself apart. And I think this is why we think that she has a possibility of like getting gold. Like since I think you were the last person. So I don't know, but she will have some stiff competition. Number 1 in the world, 732. That's gonna be hard to beat.
Mahambo is one of those athletes that sneak up on you. Like she been quiet all year, and the next thing you know, it's there for her too. So I mean, Tara, it's gonna be between her and Tara, but it's just whoever comes out, bring it out.
Yeah, I mean, so you think American record? Because like you jumped 731, I think, right? And Jackie is like up there.
It's up there.
But I mean, the talent is there, right?
Yeah.
What do you think it's going to take for someone to Tara to really break through and get there?
I think it's gonna take a couple of years because as she mature, as she gotten better. Like I feel like now that she's jumping 7-17 at a young age, and if she can develop and just keep that mindset and stay strong, I think she'll be able to get in by the next 3 years probably. I mean, it's there for the taking.
There you go. There you go.
I didn't figure out till I was like, like later on.
I mean, it just added to your legend status. So.
Yeah, but I mean, she's young and she has all the talent for it.
There you go. And so, long jump. I saw you at Prefontaine. You were tweeting a little bit about the triple jump as well, right? And we got a good core of triple jumpers with Katora, with Jasmine, with Tori Franklin. I feel like the triple jump doesn't get as much love as some of the others. But how do you kind of look at the triple jump right now?
You know, I love the triple jump. I used to train with Katora in Chula Vista, so I know her very, very well. And Tori used to come out there also. So, but yeah, them ladies don't get the love that they deserve because, I mean, the ladies overseas are just, they're bouncing. But Tori did win a medal not too long ago. So I mean, it's progressing. I watched it yesterday, and I seen the talent that can come up and potentially, you know, you just have to get better in that field for women.
And we got a high schooler. I think she placed like top 10 yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
She jumped. I think she has a PR of like 44 feet, or that's what she jumped yesterday. But you know, there is an opportunity for us to kind of like put ourselves in medal contention, like we said. Like Tori definitely got hers a couple of years ago, first in history, which was so dope.
That was.
But you know, now we're losing Katora. Now what's going on? And Tori definitely, like when me and Jasmine have had the opportunity to talk to her over the past 2 years, she's like, yeah, there's definitely like some other stuff that I want to get interested in. So not like she's gonna get out of track and field today or tomorrow, but that's definitely something that might happen in like the next year or two. So where can we get like the rest of our jumpers to just continue, you know, on the street?
And that got me thinking, kind of like in your role now, someone like Katora is going to be transitioning out, retiring.
Yeah.
Like, what is the transition like for an athlete after they're finishing their
Yeah,
career?
yeah.
So for me, my transition was basically stay in the sport some type of way. But so I'm also a high school track coach. So I do things like that. I try to stay in the sport, trying to give back my knowledge still some kind of way. And I talked with Katora briefly at the whole airport at the pre. And yeah, she gonna try to stay in the sports as much as she can, which is what we need is athletes to transition until and give back the knowledge that she has. Because I think a lot of the triple jump is more so the form. The kids don't have the form, and it's a hard event.
Yeah.
And I have to coach it, and I see it, and I hate it. I hate coaching.
Like,
the
why
triple
can't
jump.
you just figure it out? Come on.
It's a hard event to coach, and I feel like we probably don't have enough coaches in the United States that got it.
Yeah.
And Couture and maybe some of the younger athletes that are coming up, or some of the athletes that, you know, just not quite on that level yet, could be coaches and help, you know, bridge the gap and teach some of these kids the right technique.
I think there's definitely like a lot of potential, and like majority of the events that like we're talking about for a lot of our youngins to kind of like come up, and we're seeing it already. I mean, if we want to talk about the 4, Kaylin Brown was running 53 seconds in the 400 last year. Now she's running 49:13, which was the previous collegiate record before her teammate beat her. So it's just like there is a lot of opportunity for youngins. Quincy Wilson, a very other obvious athlete, Christian Miller, and so you know I think it's very interesting like see like where all of that can really transition into. So I know it's really sad when we are hearing athletes like, yeah, like I'm done doing it myself. But then it's also like, wait, we have an opportunity for more youngins to come up, and even you know if it's not the youngins, like we can take you guys and you know help the people that are up and coming, like the people who are just on the bubble to make teams, people who are just on the bubble to get into the U.S. trials. It's like where I really want to see is you know a lot more American athletes like get on that podium and just absolutely take over the Olympics and World Championships.
I agree.
Yeah. And building off that, right, we saw someone like last year, Javon, right? Tara got on the podium. Like, what do you think are our chances in the field events to get on the podium at the Olympic Games?
I think our chances are pretty high. You're gonna get the shot put. You're gonna get you're gonna get them.
Ryan and Joe.
You're gonna get them. You're probably gonna get Tara. We're young.
Yeah.
And when I look across the board, we're kind of young in the jumps for sure. But I mean, the opportunity is there. It's just, well, I used to say it only takes one jump, so it only takes one.
I mean, that's true. I mean, shoot, if you jump your best jump on number one, and then the rest of them are
people
trash,
make teams off of. I done seen people get medals just off of one jump. Ain't did nothing else. But you can't hate it.
I mean, you can feel how you feel, but regardless, it's like who got the medal?
Exactly.
Who's sitting out like, you know what I'm saying,
off of one jump or off of one, you know, it could be anybody's day.
Yeah.
And we have a young group, and I feel like they'll rise when it's time. We're strong. The United States is strong. We're just better than everybody.
We just better. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
And then what about pressure, right? We're talking about, you're working with young kids. We're talking about a young group of athletes here. They're coming to Olympic trials. Some of them, it's their first time, right? Or they've come here a couple times. Like you said, with Tara, she didn't do well at the Olympics last time. How do they handle pressure going into a big competition like this?
Yeah, for example, Quincy yesterday, come and bust that.
That's all you can say,
I was like, well, there's that. But then you think about, okay, he has 2 more rounds. Like, can he sustain that and make the team? So I don't think no pressure's on him at all. But when you're young, you're not like when I made my first Olympic team, it was I was happy to be there. I was just there. I had no real expectations. I just wanted to go out and have fun. And I think that's what a lot of the kids are going to do. But now Tara is second year going to make a team most likely, and it's for her probably medal or nothing, because she's number one. Like she's probably most likely should win gold, but I don't think she has that much pressure. And I don't think these kids should go out there and have any much pressure. Just go out there and have fun.
Did you have a similar mindset? Was it 2008 you made the team, but you didn't medal, right?
I didn't medal.
And
no.
I feel like I've heard you speak about how 2012 was like, all right, I got to get on the podium.
Yeah. When I didn't medal in 2028, I was like, I was right up there with them. Like I think I placed 5th, but now I'm 4th because we had a cheat. But at that time, a little cheat. I'm 4th now. But when I saw that, I was like, I'm right here with the best. And in order for me to be the best, I started looking at them. I was like, they cut. I need to get some muscle. And when I got back to school and I talked to my coach, and we was like, we on a whole. I need a whole nother plan. Like we need to get faster. I need to get stronger, and then it went from there.
And then I think, like, speaking of pressure, too, like, I think you did an interview with Drew Hunter last night. I think he got 4th in the 10K. And he was saying, like, he's like, I wasn't really coming out here, like, expecting to make the team. But he's like, I just wanted to prove to myself that, like, I could do this and I could hang with him, which is why I'm bringing it up. Because what you were saying, it's just like, wait, I'm looking back on myself. I'm at the Olympics, and I'm thinking, like, okay, wait, I might not a podium, but I know there's potential. I know there's opportunity. So, like, if I can do this now, like, imagine what can happen, like, bringing this back to Tara when I start to actually give, like, 110% to, like, what I'm doing and what I'm committed to. So I think it's really interesting to just really think about those mindsets. And so I would hope that other athletes kind of, take on what, Drew Hunter's mindset was last night. I know it sucks to be in 4th place or to, like, not make the team at all. Yeah. But I think there is a lot to, like, hold on to when you're thinking about, okay, I was up there with so-and-so. I have this opportunity again, well, really next year, maybe not for the Olympics, but, like, we got world champions. We got a whole bunch of more opportunities coming through. So it's like, okay, if I can do this at Olympic trials, what can I do at USA's next year or, like, Worlds next year, like so-and-so? And like you said, really it only takes one time. Like, that meet that day is what my dad used to love to say, too. So who knows what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Nice. And so, dove into the field events a little bit, but what else are you watching? I mean, we just saw, like, Sha'Carri on the track. We got Noah who's stepping up today. What are some of the other events that you're looking forward to?
I love watching, like, the hurdles. And
I like women's hurdles.
I'm
so scared, bro.
I'm so scared, bro. And I like watching events that are stacked. Like, I like watching stacked events because you just never know. Like, the 100 for women is kind of, you kind of know, but it's just. You
still
really
never
don't.
know. It's still pretty close, but it's like an open door almost.
It's like an open door, but, like, I'm really looking forward to the hurdles. Like, I'm not the 110s. We already know Grant. But, like, the 100 hurdles, I am looking forward to watching that. And maybe the women's 400 because the Arkansas kids, the girls, and just to see where it's going to go.
I was saying that I feel like in the women's hurdles, we can see the top 3, but they can be the bottom 3 in the same thing. Like, it's just so crazy.
It's always tight.
It's very scary, especially, like, for the women in the U.S., mainly just because, like, I think last year the stat was like we had like the top 7 or 8 in the top 10 all of last year, which is sick when you think about it because it's like we could send any combination of these women, 3 or 4 of them, to any major championship, and there is a possibility to either sweep or at least get all of them in the final.
Exactly.
And I think that's a really scary thing to think about because that means that somebody is going to be sad and they're going to go home, and it's like I just hope that they don't feel like they're not worthy because it's like, no, all of y'all run 12-3, 12-4, 12-5. It's like all of y'all are worthy. It's just like maybe next time is your time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
So before we go, give us a bold take for the Olympic trials. What's like a bold take that you're like, all right, if this happens, it's gonna be crazy. You got a bold take for the trials?
Oh, I don't know if I got no bold take. Let me see.
Like crazy upsets that might be going down.
I don't see nobody getting upset. Like I feel like, oh no, I do. The 200.
Hold on. Okay,
wait, what's going on with that?
Yeah, let's talk.
Because you know, it's somebody on top of the world who he don't play about his baby. So
let's talk.
Kenny looking like.
Okay.
Kenny looking like he kind of.
I mean, to be fair, when he ran the world lead, it was his PR and it was better than what it took for him to get silver when he did beat Noah back in Tokyo. So, I mean,
hey,
who
it might be
knows?
so crazy. It's on the record now, so.
Hey, shout me out when it happens.
Brittney Reese, really appreciate you
Thank
and
you so
excited to see you, out here on the track.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all so much.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna pass it over. We just have Brittney Reese. We're gonna be passing over to Chris Chavez and
Bring on our next guest.
Yeah.
I want a picture.
Oh, pictures. Oh, with the CITIUS. Want us to stand or sit?
Stand with the background.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Maybe you could come in the middle. Brittney.
I'm going to need this picture, so you have to send it to me.
I'll have Charles send it to you guys.
You guys just have a pick and send it to me or whatever.
Yeah, sounds good. Perfect.
Yeah, we're trying to get it.
All right, perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much.
Some good ones coming on.
Britt, can you get one with Chris real quick with the gift bag too?
This thing was over here tweaking, it's falling. Let me.
Alright, your mics are on.
Good.
All right, we are back here, CITIUS MAG live from Eugene, Oregon, and I'm joined by our two next guests. I feel like the last time we did one of these was probably when you guys were still in high school at New Balance Nationals, but now look at you guys, all grown up, rising sophomores at Stanford, and in addition to that, NIL athletes with On, and now you guys can say the brothers of a U.S. Olympian. What was last night like? Because you guys told me before you came up, you still haven't been able to see Nico yet.
Yeah. Last night was absolutely unreal. I mean, I was walking around with my camera the whole time trying to capture it. And if I look back at the footage, I just noticed the further we get through the race, the less and less the image stabilization was helping me. That footage was shaky.
It was some shaky
because
footage
I was going crazy. My heart was
Yeah.
beating. I was so excited for him.
Yeah, no, I think I almost I felt like I was gonna pass out. I was just, like I was standing on that rail screaming my vocal cords out. Like I think they're pretty shot at this point, but it was an extremely just unreal, very, very unreal experience. I'm so happy for him.
When's the last time you guys were that nervous for a race?
Oh, I don't know if I've ever been that nervous. I was so nervous watching that race. Like I don't get that nervous for my own races. That was insane.
When I guess like for this year in general, you guys as freshmen in college, I mean, there was a lot of expectations coming in based off of your guys' high school success. What were the biggest learnings that you guys took from your freshman year of college?
I mean, I think there's a lot to be said about the freshman year of college because it really is, in many ways, like there's a lot of learning curves that go into it. The biggest challenge, the biggest thing that I think that we really had to conquer was just like getting our sleep dialed.
Yes.
But that's mostly a Stanford thing because they throw you in with random roommates and stuff. So I was like, darn
You
it.
guys weren't roommates?
No. I had two
We
random
shared a
people I
wall,
never
but-
met.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, it's a great idea, and at least as an idea, but in practice, it means that like, okay, you're an athlete trying to go to bed at 9, and your roommates probably up till 3, and you're
Well,
like,
I think it's difficult in a sport like running where sleep is so critical. Like if I was a non-athlete or if I was, say, doing some other
a non-endurance sport,
it would be a little bit less important. You'd get more value from it. But I think in a sport where like, you're counting hours and those hours you feel the difference between 7 and 8 and 8 and 9. It's like it is critical that you get good sleep. So
and
dialing that in towards the end of the season was very nice, and I think next year I'll have a great setup. So
we were able to dial it in. The thing that we realized was our other freshman Milo, somehow his roommate was just AWOL after the first week. So later in the spring, we actually ended up moving our mattresses into his room, and I kid you not, a week into sleeping in that room, I qualified for regionals. It was just like that. Got
So
that sleep
thank you
dial,
to
and I
Milo.
started feeling great.
Milo's
So,
an absolute legend.
don't ever count out sleep.
Yeah.
This must have been like the first year of your guys' life that you guys weren't sharing a room.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right?
No,
No,
absolutely.
we've shared. We've
Yeah.
had a bunk bed for the past 19 years. So I guess 18 before college.
Yeah.
That it was kind of weird. I mean, even next year we'll be closer because we'll have our own rooms. We'll be right next to each other. But yeah, it's kind of a weird thing not sharing the room with each other.
Yeah, certainly.
All right, so you watch your brother make the Olympic team last night. Is this something that you guys like talked about growing up? Because I know just running was so ingrained in your household, ever since you guys were little kids, but just like the Olympic dream happening, was this something you guys talked about?
Maybe not like explicitly, but I do know, like, I mean, as a runner, every runner dreams of the Olympics. So it's certainly something that we've all always been striving for, almost like, it's kind of odd because like, when you first join the sport, you think, oh, I want to be an Olympian. It's so easy maybe, or so, it's just right there, you can do it. But then it's like you start to get more and you learn more about the sport and you're like, wow, that is really a real deal. Like real,
I don't think I
real
ever
deal
thought it
thing.
was easy.
I never thought it was easy. But you think it's very much like approachable, like you can do it. And then you kind of get to a point where like, oh my God, that is a big, tall task. But then you get to a point like Nico where it's like, you just did it. Like it's very cool to see such a big dream come true, and because he's wanted that for so long. I mean, yeah, I am so proud of him.
I mean, I don't think we ever
incredible.
specifically were talking like, oh, be Olympians or anything like that. But I think in our house as kids, like it was always very clear that like we just did not put any limits on ourselves. We always were trying to do everything to the fullest and all of that. So it's like those dreams were always very possible, and we didn't let ourselves count those out. So it's like seeing this now, we certainly were all dreaming.
But I
of
also
something
feel like
that.
it's kind of like inherent to running. Like to be a runner, like to be a serious runner is to strive for the Olympics. Like there's nothing bigger than the Olympics, at least in my head, like that is the ultimate achievement for a runner. So I think, if you are in running, you strive for the Olympics.
Absolutely.
So last night, he makes the team. There is a video of you guys giving him a hug. What'd you guys say to him?
Oh, I was just saying, we love you, Nico. We're proud of you, and I can't believe it. This is surreal,
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think we posted a little reel last night.
I
think you could hear, like, I was yelling, I was like,
Yeah,
he followed his dreams and it worked. It was true.
Yeah.
I said I was like so proud of him, all
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's surreal getting to see him after that race, give him a hug and all
Yeah.
that. It was such an amazing moment for him.
Yes.
So, this means you guys are probably going to Paris, right?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
You guys already booked flights?
We already had booked.
Oh, yeah.
You've
We-
already had the
We
flights
already had the
booked?
flights booked. Because, well, for us, it's a little easier because we're going to be in Switzerland for the next 5 weeks working with Anna and, like, just exploring Europe.
Okay.
So for us, it was like, we'll just, naturally, whether he makes it or not, take the train up and watch the Olympics. But now we really get to watch him, so I'm very excited. My parents, on the other hand, they were going to fly from Cali, so they already had their flights booked in case. And I know Caleb, if you know Caleb Easton, Nico's roommate, he had a non-refundable flight booked.
So he's screaming at Nico down the home
like,
stretch,
you know,
Nico, you better close because I don't want to lose my deposit.
Yeah. So
I always get a kick out of just like the families that book the flights before people make the team.
Yeah.
Like it's a level of confidence, but like also belief in sort of like the athlete.
Yeah. I knew he could do it. It's just a matter of
they were manifesting the
absolutely.
qualification by doing that.
Yeah.
You mentioned this trip that's coming up to Switzerland. I mean, there are perks to being like the NIL landscape is crazy right now in the NCAA. You guys signed an NIL with On a couple months back. And what's that kind of experience been like? Because, I mean, it does provide cool opportunities. Being here at the trials for the full duration of it, a trip to Switzerland. What have you made of the whole thing?
I think it's been incredible. I mean, especially with a company like On that we've always really had like an affinity for. So it's just nice because it's brought us, I think, even deeper into the running community where we get all these opportunities to engage with our fan base and the people who cheer for us. Like this morning, we were running miles on the track just for fun with the people. Like it was awesome, So it's I think just a great opportunity for college athletes to really like engage with their fans and do more for their own brand.
And it's another way. I think it's another way for us to develop our own passions and skills. Like we've always been into making YouTube videos, taking photos, all the stuff around the sport, right? But a lot of what this enables us to do is to go out there and learn a lot more, learn about even like the product development of the shoes and all the things that we might see ourselves doing potentially after running. So it's
just a huge enabler.
Yeah, it's a big door opened.
Yeah.
One interesting thing, it's like, because, we look at sort of like the New Balance NIL roster is also pretty big, and Quincy Wilson is like one of those stars.
Yeah.
And I remember this from like when we would post graphics about your guys' high school accomplishments, that just like the likes would pour in, the number of shares and stories that it would like pop up on, like where it was crazy. What people, I guess, don't realize is just how much high school kids care about other high school kids. You guys were like people who felt that in real time, and now that you've gone to college, the very awesome part is that fan base has followed you.
Yeah.
What's made that work? Because I guess now the dream is that you guys find success in college that keeps this thing going. The running dream as a professional. Now those people will watch professional track and field, but whether it's diamond leagues or pro meets that you guys are competing in, I feel like that's how we build fans.
Yeah,
it's just we hook them in high school and we keep them for a long time.
Yeah,
totally.
I think it works because you're more relatable that way. It's harder for like some sophomore in high school who's just getting into running 4:50 in the mile to relate to Nico right now. I mean, they can still relate to him, but like to relate to someone who's just made an Olympic team, it's easier if they see someone almost their own age or a couple years older. that they realistically that they could be your teammate. So I think it's awesome in that way, and it's great that you get to take all these people with you, because like we have people who followed us since we literally just were like, I remember making videos of only Nico, like our freshman year of high school. Like we were barely running anything. We were just having fun with it, and people follow us all the way from then, and it's really amazing how it's like that's our job. We just tell our story. So
yeah, it really is the secret to growing the sport. Keep the high school. Keep the attention on all the high school runners and build that community and keep everyone engaged with each other. I think the sense of community is only growing.
Yeah.
And then that's what's going to transfer to
Yeah.
college and to professional and to keeping and getting people engaged with the sport as a whole.
Plug your guys' YouTube channel. You're live right now on our channel.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, you just mentioned it. Like, there's footage of Nico training while he's in high school out there. The dude just made the Olympic team last night.
Oh yeah.
That's that's just kind of really fun to see. Is like you can go back and find, like, if you last night watched that 10K and became a huge Nico Young fan because of the gutsy final 800 meters to hold off a charging Drew Hunter. Now you're just like, I want to know more about this guy. Your guys' YouTube page is one of those places where they can land on.
Yeah.
There's endless content.
Check out
on it.
LNL. I mean, we have a little short film that we made. Back then it was felt long, but it's only 3 or 4 minutes. But
Well, it was for a film competition.
Yeah,
There were restrictions on length.
Yeah, but it's called Record Breaker. It was Nico entering his freshman year of college, so after all of his high school successes. So if you want to go back and see something cool, that's a fun video to check out. We really enjoyed making it. Maybe we'll have to make a part 2 now.
Yeah,
as he
that's true.
leaves his college career and enters his professional. So yeah.
I think I was talking over you a bit when he plugged it. It's L and signed L on YouTube. And
Yeah.
I mean, there's huge amount of content. There's a lot of content even capturing like the day-to-day of his summer training and stuff like that as he trains with us.
And there'll
a
be
lot
more
through the
this summer.
More
Yeah.
this summer too. So, if you want to look back and see kind of, how does someone get to this level, there are videos dating back so far that you can check out.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the Netflix series that's coming out? It's focused on the sprinters,
Yeah.
but like everyone has been clamoring for like track and field needs a Netflix series because we saw what it did for Formula One. And although like it isn't in sort of like your guys' focus where it mostly is distance running, like it's probably going to be very quality storytelling.
Yeah. Oh, I love that idea. I think it's awesome. I mean, it's exactly what we need. I mean, everyone around the sport is striving to make like really great content and tell the stories within the sport. So having a huge production doing that, I think will only add to it because it basically it expedites the process a little bit. Whether it's sprinters or distance, it doesn't really matter because we all compete together and we're all within the same sport. While it might be a little bit different, I think it adds to the general energy of it, and it's all gonna affect everything within the sport.
What did you guys end up majoring in? Because I remember when we talked to you at New Balance Nationals, I think that you guys were still kind of on the fence deciding.
Yeah. Well, at Stanford, you don't have to decide till the end of your sophomore year, so we're still
Yeah,
both
one more year.
undeclared.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Still on the fence.
I'm thinking we're both actually leaning towards like physical product design, maybe with a little bit of an emphasis around like mechanical engineering, but not mechanical engineering, but in that area. So it's kind of like it would set you up to work in like a product design kind of field, whether that's designing shoes or designing apparel or even like designing cars because we both love cars, something like that. So that's what we're thinking about.
That's really cool to hear because I guess like one of the pieces of advice I give like when people are like, oh, like you built CITIUS Mag, like, I'm going into studying journalism, like what was your college experience like? And for me, I was like, in the grand scheme of things, if I were to go back in time and do it all over again, maybe I wouldn't have majored in journalism because like when it comes to content creation, like we are growing up with just like all the different platforms, and it doesn't take a whole lot to just like learn them. If you just start doing it for yourself and then growing an audience naturally, then you have mastered like 90% of the way in content creation. And so I think that's awesome that you guys are like branching out and studying something totally outside of the content creator space because you guys, it just comes naturally to you. But in the longer term sort of vision for your videos and stuff like that is like a documentary that is like longer, something you guys would ever want to explore?
Oh,
No,
for sure.
certainly,
I've always
yeah.
wanted to make like a full form documentary. I mean, that sounds awesome. I love filmmaking and all of that around. I mean, I would probably study film. I would have considered that. I mean, my dad studied film in college, and the one thing he told me was like, he's like, studying film is great, but you certainly don't need to study film to work in the film industry or do anything like that. It's if anything, it's a skill that you can learn on your own and do all that. So
we've been studying film since middle school.
Yeah, that's true.
exactly.
I mean, our YouTube channel has existed since 2016. It's almost It's almost 8 years old now, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, I've been holding a camera for as long as I knew what a camera was. So I've been investing in that kind of self-degree for a while.
Yeah.
Who else do you think is doing it really well right now when it comes to like the content you guys consume?
Well, I mean, CITIUS is my favorite source for like actual.
You
no,
say,
it's true.
looking into the
It is.
camera and
Unbiased.
saying
Unbiased.
For seeing news, just like unbiased from all different event groups. CITIUS is my favorite, I'd say. And then,
What's your favorite like athlete follow?
Yeah, athletes who make
That's a good question.
I've seen a couple of like the Noah Lyles stuff. I like that.
Oh, I like Noah Lyles'
Yeah.
YouTube videos. I think those are pretty cool. I think that, let's see, what I really like is really any case. I like it when athletes post like reels covering the content.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's collaborations, often with CITIUS and stuff like that. But like I think like connecting like the athlete's perspective with the media outlet is a really great way to kind of get more of a personal perspective on whatever the athlete's doing, because a lot of athletes can't make really good content about themselves.
Yeah.
And it's also impossible if you're in the race, you can't be holding the camera too. So it enables.
And
I
then
think, a lot
let's
more
not even get
storytelling.
started on like when you can and can't film races. I
Oh
know
my
you
God.
guys.
Yeah.
These guys know. They're
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
in the trenches with us.
Yes.
Where it's like,
Yes.
like last night's. I wish you guys could have probably filmed Nico running a couple laps, but
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
you did. You
Oh,
can't
yeah.
go anywhere though.
Yeah, no, can't go anywhere. Can't go anywhere.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is the hard part. But there are
No,
these
it
new
is.
things that are like coming about that are embracing content creators.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to
Yeah.
wait and see. Like when I just had the conversation with Michael Johnson about Grand Slam track,
Yes.
he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we're open to like embracing the content creators and
That's
the
awesome.
influencers, and so getting out to you guys to one of those meets is probably like should be on their checklist, because it's like, all right, these guys make content and storytell around the athletes, like give them an all access pass to like go and film with the athletes. So no, I mean, I'm sure there's tons more opportunities for you guys. And, I appreciate you guys stopping by to the CITIUS pop-up here. You guys are right across the street at Tom's Market doing your stuff with On. And what else you guys got going on throughout the week for people to know about?
A lot of morning miles. So we did that this morning, just like group runs starting at the market and going out. If you want to talk to us, run with us, like that's what we're here for. We love talking to you guys, so come by. There's going to be the tailgate, so we'll be doing that stuff, and we'll be hanging around
on evening events
There's
too,
some
I
more
think.
evening events, but we'll just in general we'll be hanging around and like just come approach us. Like we're not scary. We love talking to you guys. Like,
we were floating the idea of like an L&L and CITIUS Mag unofficial float. We'll probably put out like, hey, on one of the off days we're gonna go float down the river. Everyone bring your own float. And just see how many people show up to this thing. Imagine we have 200 people floating down a river. That'd be quite the scene.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Maybe a little hectic, but makes for
really
a cool
fun.
video.
Yes.
Indeed, at your own risk. That's the
at
only
your
thing.
own risk, but I think it would be really cool because I've never done it and I love the water. So
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Lex and Leo, I appreciate you guys stopping by, and I'm looking forward to all the content that's coming out from you guys over the next couple weeks.
Well, thank you for having
Thanks
us.
for having
It's
us.
been great.
All right, send Conner Mantz up our way when you're on your way out. I think he's downstairs right now. So thanks,
good.
guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's go. That rock.
All right.
Sweet. All right, we are back, CITIUS MAG, live from Eugene, Oregon, and I'm joined now by my co-host Eric Jenkins. Not in a speed suit yet. If you watch the morning show, we got 4,000 likes. There's a post up right now. If it gets that many likes, Eric Jenkins will be donning a New Balance speed suit.
I gotta go.
You have to deal with here, Conner?
I gotta go like that.
No, please.
And we're joined by 2024 U.S. Olympic Marathon Trials champion Conner Mantz, who jumped into the race last night, made it an honest pace, and then ended up in the money, walking away from the race with a little bit of prize money. So all in all, a pretty good day, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's better than going out and doing a 10K tempo on Breeze Trail and coming away with nothing. Like, there's no money for a tempo run, but go do it in a track stadium and run it with a bunch of like fast guys, taper a little bit, and then you come away with couple grand or something. Are you
the most chill guy in the what is it, the call room? Because
absolutely.
it was like
absolutely.
It's like, I already made this team. I've got nothing to lose. I'm just here for a workout.
Right. I'm like, okay, if this goes bad, I'm like, it could go bad 400 in, and I could just step off. I get front row seats to a 10K final. And I'm already on the Olympic team, so
yeah, that must be it must be so fun, like that experience. Like you've already made the team, you're coming in to do, it's just a workout on like the biggest stage.
Yes,
and there's no pressure. You're just able to have fun. Like, were you always planning on doing this race, or was it something that just kind of fit in the schedule well?
So I didn't plan on it right after the marathon trials. And then it was like, well, I'm qualified. Maybe I'll do it, maybe not. And then they're like, oh, you have to come for team processing in Eugene. And I'm like, so I have to be in Eugene anyway. Like, I don't want to have to like find a different race, and I don't want to work out in Eugene. Like, I feel like,
like who would want to do that?
I'd rather race here than work out here. Like every time I've tried to work out in Eugene, it's been like awful. So I'm like,
what's the worst experience?
Where do I begin?
Probably just trying to do like some pickups on Breeze Trail, and just like my Achilles the next day just being so sore. Like
everybody's been saying, actually, we've all been talking about trying to run on Breeze Trail, Achilles stuff.
Yeah, it happened.
No, it's just it's too soft. It's the softest trail out there.
Great place to run.
Yeah.
Maybe not for a workout, unless like you just gotta adjust accordingly, and the watch doesn't tell you it's adjusting accordingly.
All right, so after the marathon trials, you go dark on Strava a little bit, and that's never a real good sign. So what exactly happened?
So I tore one of my quad muscles, the rectus femoris muscle. It was like 20 something centimeters by like a few centimeters. It was just a massive tear through it. I was just trying to I was like, okay, like I'm done with the marathon. Let's try and work on like hills, because I took a long break, probably the longest break I've taken since when I've been healthy since I don't know, pre-college.
It was never.
Like I can't tell you, but the longest break I've taken since then. So I was like, okay, I'm really gonna take the break seriously, so I don't end up burning out or getting injured. And then I started training, and I was like, yeah, this is usually how I train after a race, but I didn't. It's like, wait, I tapered for a long time. I took a break, and then I was like, all right, let's get some hills in. Let's get some strides in. I think it was just my body was not ready for that, and so I got hurt and took. I don't know. I was out for I think 3 weeks of running, but then I could do every other day and just lots of swimming and.
You're a cross-training animal. Even last year, I guess, even for the build-up for the marathon trials too, right?
Yeah. So. Been hurt more times in the last 9 months than I had been for 2 years before. I don't think I'd been hurt 2 years before that, so kind of a little frustrating.
Yeah. All right. So then, when did you get back to workouts with Clayton? The vlogs have been pretty sick. The ones
they've been sweet
that Clayton's putting out.
Yeah. Those are so cool. I'm like, holy crap! Andrew's the guy that films it, and I'm like, this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I got to talk to Nike about hey, can I get somebody hired out to do this? But then if it becomes the lesser vlog, then I don't want to.
My subscribers aren't as high as Clayton's right now.
It's just the comparison game. But I started training. I probably started doing workouts 2 weeks after running again, but I kept them pretty chill, more marathon specific, pace. It was getting down to marathon pace instead of starting at I don't know, speed stuff, and then, slowing down. It was, let's start slow. My coach I just don't think it was strides. I don't think it was strides. I don't know what it could have been, but I think it was just overdoing it after a long break. Like, I went on some trail runs, and then I was doing strides, and then, I don't know, I did. Coach kept being like, I saw you doing strides with Sebastian Fernandez. Like, that might have been it. I was like, no, like, I don't think that was it, but Sebastian's like a 146 guy in the 800, so maybe it wasn't.
Coach is like, I can't emphasize enough, I don't want you doing strides.
Yes. He like, what was funny is he started telling other guys on our team to not do strides too. Like like other 10K guys. He's like, hey, wait, you're not doing strides. Like, Creed Thompson, who ran, I think he was 17th last night. I'm pretty sure he hasn't been able to, like, coach has been keeping him from doing strides for a while.
All everyone wants to do is just do strides over there, and coach is like, it's literally the one thing I can't have you doing.
Exactly.
Overall, then, I guess, like, how are things going in the build-up for Paris?
It's been good. I mean, it took, like, probably the last week has been specific to this, but everything's been very focused on just, let's be fit for Paris. I'm happy the marathon is in 7 weeks. If it was in 2 weeks, I don't think I'd be that confident, but everything else is going pretty good.
The course is gnarly.
Yes.
Clayton got to see it. You haven't got to see it, right?
No, if I'm gonna be there for like opening ceremonies, I don't want to be and like I'm gonna run on it then. I don't think you're gonna need to see it and visualize it for months and months. You can do it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
I'm racing the same day as you
awesome.
at the marathon at the Olympics. At the Olympics is the key word there. You're in the Olympics. I'm running at the Olympics. Yeah. The all-comers marathon that they're doing that night. Should we set like an over/under? Like if I finish within an hour? No, an hour is not enough time because I'm thinking like this might be the hardest marathon I ever run. Like because I'm gonna have no sleep, on my feet in the mix zone all the time, sweating constantly, probably not eating. I haven't really eaten all that much since getting here in Eugene. That like
things are good.
Yeah, life's great. You drink that Olipop, that'll probably help you.
I'll drink the I'm fueled by Olipop.
No water, no food, no sleep. Gonna run a marathon. What do you think I got?
Yeah. So I think like 3:30 might be a realistic goal for me.
Okay.
On day 10 of the Olympics. So what is that? That would be 90 minutes? Is that what I'm giving?
I mean, I'm not gonna run 2 hours flat.
yeah.
Do 80 minutes. 80 I feel like is.
Yeah. All right, we'll do 80 minutes.
Chris doesn't like that.
I don't like it, but like the last 10K I believe is flat, right? Like
the last 10K is, but at 18 there's a 13% hill. So
yeah. So okay, let's explain the course for people. And like my understanding is there is a 13 grade hill at 18.
Right.
But there's a couple other hills along the way.
Right.
Isn't there like a really nasty downhill portion?
I think it's right after that 18.
Yeah.
That's at least what Clayton's been telling me. Maybe he's sabotaging me.
Yeah. He doesn't want you to do really well in the vlogs, and he doesn't want you to know the course in Paris. Yeah.
Fiona, when we paid a visit to Park City to film a video with Fiona O'Keefe, they'll be coming out in a couple of weeks. She was telling me about just sort of like practicing taking gels at a certain angle when you're going downhill because of the way the gels sit with you. If you can't just like take them at any point, like. Are there weird things to prep for this marathon? I know, like, this one's gonna be a weird race.
It is, and it's weird when you look at like the last two. 2:08 was the winning time, and those were relatively fast courses, but it was always hot. And so now it's like if Paris is hot, and it's this hilly, it's like, is it gonna take like, I don't know. Somebody told me they think like, I think it was Rory was telling me he thinks like 2:11 or 2:12 will probably medal.
I think someone threw out like 2:10, like would be a medal recently in one of the interviews that I did, and I was like, they probably misspoke, but maybe.
Yeah. Clayton was like, oh, like 2:08, like you can run 2:08 and probably not medal, and I'm like, how hard you made this course sound. I feel like 2:08's not even gonna win it, like or like 2:08 would win it.
Yeah.
So
this might be your best chance to beat Kipchoge.
I think so. I mean, Boston was probably my best chance, but I went out too hard and tried to beat him from the front. So
You get shot number 2 now.
Yeah, I get shot number 2, and Bekele.
And Bekele. You've raced him before?
I've only raced Kipchoge once. I haven't
No,
raced
but Bekele never, right?
Never.
That's got to be like so weird. These guys were running at the Olympics like 20 years ago, and now they're back.
Yeah,
What were you 20 years ago?
20 years ago, not thinking about running. That's for sure. Having my mom drive me to elementary school, like first grade, second grade.
You were so lazy, not even putting in miles then?
Yeah, what was I thinking? Dang it, these guys are running probably 120 miles a week back then.
Bekele's got such a leg up.
I was playing Pokemon at recess out.
Grow up.
So last night's race, take me through. You're in the call room just kind of probably like joking around while everyone's like game mode serious.
Yeah.
No discussion from like the guys at the standard be like, all right, Conner, make this one fast. Like no one talked to you?
No, I mean, Coach and I had like talked about like maybe making a plan with somebody in the field to like try and keep it fast and try and go for like a standard or go for, I think if I had ran around 27:20s.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Somebody would approach you and say, hey, I'll work with you a little bit, try to keep it honest, and maybe get some sort of standard in there.
Right. I think if I'd ran 27:20s, I'd get the ranking.
Yeah.
But I didn't really want to I've worked with people in the past, and it's never worked out for me, where it's like I've made a deal with someone, like I did it last Olympic trials in the 10,000, and the person that was supposed to take the lead for me never did. And it was like...
Name him.
I can't remember. It was one of the W-Cap guys. I don't know which one, but it was like we'd all work together, and then Robert Brandt, who I talked to too about it, he'd said he's like, no, dude, my coach just wants me to sit and wait. Yeah. I was like, all right. He's the one that took the lead for me. He's like, no, screw this. I might as well lead with you. But it was just kind of a funny scenario, and I've done it multiple times where people have been like, let's go for a fast time, and it's just never worked out. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna go for it on my own. And I let Casey know, I let Creed know, I let Sam Chalenga know because I felt like I owed it to him for when he moved to Utah and trained with us for 2 months. So
he took the lead last night for a little bit.
He did. Yeah. And what was funny is we talked after the race, and he's like, yeah, I came to help you. And I was like, yeah, dude, I was gonna drop out around then. I was not feeling good. I knew I was already made the team. I probably should have had that thought before the race that I was like, I could drop out and I'll be fine. But he told me he was getting afterward that he was helping me. But in the race, when he took the lead, one of the times, it was 7 or 8 laps to go. I told him go Sam, and I slowed down to get the field to
yeah.
to,
you were pulling the Chalima. You were doing your own Chalima.
I was doing the Chalima move to get Sam to get way ahead. It was Sam ended up somehow being winning it by moving up and nobody gone with him. Just be a legendary move. Wins Olympic trials at 38, 39 years old.
Realistically, I guess that was the cool part about last night's race, was that just how many guys were going for it with the shot of actually making the team was low because of the rank. Everyone would have needed to run fast and get in the rankings.
They'd all need to run another 10K next week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is oh, okay, good luck. maybe Jesse from Sound Running could put on a 10K here at East Eugene High School or South Eugene High School. But I was like, okay, these guys must just be doing it for the money, and that's what kept you in.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about dropping out at I thought about dropping out pretty early, to be honest. I was like, I'll drop out at 2 miles, but then I was like, no, I can't be that guy who goes out and leads the thing and then just drops out, and everyone's like, oh, what was he doing? But then I was like, somebody will pass me eventually, and then Chalimo did around 5K, and I mean, it was every other lap. I was like, I'm gonna drop out in 2 laps. I was gonna drop out in 2 laps, but Chalimo passed me at 5K, and then he slowed down a lot, and I didn't have to lead into the wind, and I was like, oh, this feels really easy. But then I realized we ran a 37 200 or something, and I was like, oh wait, that's slower than marathon pace. I should probably pass him again.
It's funny to hear you were thinking about dropping out 2 miles because you were the one. You're like, this is hard, but you were the one who was making it hard. You led the whole thing.
Oh man, I don't know how my mind works in races. Not very well, but.
When you see kind of like the, Grant, takes it with, how much was it left to go?
I think he made his move with a K to go.
Yeah.
What are you doing at that point in the race? Like, are you just holding on for dear life, but then like also at the same time watching what's happening up in the front?
Yeah, like my thing was I was like, I'm gonna drop out like soon, and then Andrew Colley took it and he made a big move, and I'm just chilling at the back of that pack, and I was like, sweet, like those guys can go fight it out. But then I was like, wait a sec, I'm in 10th place, 8 get prize money.
Yeah.
And like I'll pass 2 of these guys later, but like I was so far back that when he made his move, a gap formed. Yeah. And I was like, oh crap, like I'm not gonna catch up to like some of these guys. So I had to like make a move to kind of move up, but there was that gap had already formed. And so when Grant made his move, it was like I wasn't in that pack anymore. And I think had I been in that, I would have fought a little more. But it was just kind of like I had this thought of, that one thought of dropping out, and it like this race doesn't really matter. And so like I didn't feel that need to like grind and fight for like every position, which I think kind of bit me in the butt the last bit, but last mile and a half, but it's fine. Like,
yeah, especially, I mean, you're considering dropping out 2 miles. You made it all the way. Like, you did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, like, I really wanted to try and run, like, a PR. Mm-hmm. Coach Eyestone was like, start at 66s, and I was like, I'm going to start at 65s. He's like, all right, you do your thing.
We're back on the strides thing.
Right. I'm a hard person to coach.
Yeah. He's like, let's start at 66s. You're like, deal, 65s.
Yeah. He said, if you want to, go for it. And then after, I'm like, yeah, you're right. He's like, I know, but you act like I don't know anything.
So I'm just, it's so funny. Immediately after the marathon trials, when we did like our post-race podcast together, you were just floating the idea of just like, like lining up. You're like, I might run the 10 like in a month. And, obviously like those things didn't happen. What are there going to be is there another race potentially? You just did Boulder to Boulder before this.
Yeah.
And then you've got a couple more weeks. Does racing fit into it or not?
I might run like Peachtree. I might try. I would only want a course that's like similar to Peachtree, where it's hilly, hot, humid. Yeah. Need something.
You should have gone to Western States this week or something.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Just throw me in. I'll pay someone for 20 miles.
Yeah. You run a lot. You probably race a lot more than the average marathoner. Do you feel like do you always want to keep have races on the schedule and would rather do these races as opposed to just stacking big blocks of training?
See, I just think like if you just keep stacking big blocks of training, either like you're gonna burn out. I enjoy having a lower week every once in a while, and it's like you might as well do that on a race week. Yeah. And I enjoy racing. Like I feel like it's kind of, I don't know, kind of boring when you're like, I'm training for 12 weeks, and if this race doesn't go well, then that's it. I really enjoy breaking it up every few weeks.
Yeah. When's the next 1500?
Dude, I want to run a mile.
Yeah, there you go.
Got to beat that high school mile, official high school mile PR, because that's
what is the official high school mile PR?
4:07. That's I should say it's my official mile PR right now from my junior year of high school, and I'm like, I need to break that.
You gotta break that.
Like I've done it at the end of races. I've done it in like.
Yeah, I think you can do it.
Yeah, I've done it in splits and like time trials and stuff in Provo, but like I want to just go and break 4.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I don't know when, but eventually.
You joked to Ray, didn't you? Like your agent, Ray Flynn, that like, put me in the Wanamaker.
Oh, I have. And I think it bugs him.
Does he like that joke?
I don't think he does. Because he knows I'm like somewhat serious. Yeah. But like, I'm not near that good. And he's just like, oh, like, even though because he's in charge of that field, so it's just I'm bugging him.
He does have the power to do it.
I'm like, come on, Ray. Like, what do I got to do to get you to put me in a Wanamaker?
All right. I guess one thing people might be wondering is like, since the trials, has anything just like life like changed or anything like that? Because it's like the title of Olympian gets attached to you. Some people are like, all right, maybe I wouldn't attach that until I get to the actual Olympics and compete. But what is the biggest difference? Like more Instagram followers, like more media obligations.
There's a lot of media obligations, a lot of trying to say no.
Yeah.
I moved to Park City partially to get high altitude training, partially so people would stop bugging me. It's like, oh, I can't go to. Oh, you want to meet in Provo? I can't. It's an hour drive. I have to stay up here for training. Trying to think.
You've linked up with like Grant while you were there, right?
Yeah.
Like, for a couple workouts.
Yeah, just one run.
Okay.
I want to do more, but he's on like a 9-day cycle and we're on a like 7-day cycle, so
Yeah.
I don't know, but.
He'll get you to sub 4.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Hey, Grant, you want to pace me for a mile?
Yeah.
I know that's probably your workout.
Yeah, you're doing it anyway. Let me hop in.
But yeah, it's, I don't know, not a ton has changed. Like, media obligations have been big, but
Did you have to do, like, I guess in team processing, that's just usually, you've done it a couple times before, right? Like,
I've done team processing when I've been an alternate.
oh, really?
So it's a lot more fun when you actually get the jersey than when you see everyone trying it on and you're like,
Yeah, no,
oh,
I've been
I want
there.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, not
Yeah,
fun.
wait, were you were 4th and 4th or 4th and 5th?
No, I was just 4th, 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. Fun times.
Yeah, fun times.
Yeah.
Time of your life, right?
Time of my life. Yeah.
Well, Conner, what's next? I guess while you're here in Eugene, you staying for a bit or what?
I'll watch some of the races today. So I did USATF team processing today, and then the Olympic processing people aren't getting in until tomorrow.
Okay.
So I had to stay another day, and then I feel kind of bad because like Kenneth and James Corrigan are racing the steeple final on Sunday, and I'm like, see you guys, good luck.
I got to get out of Eugene, man. My
with all the
Achilles.
all the U.S. championships and trials, like
Can't do strides in this city.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not with coach around.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting out of here so I can go do some strides. in Park
Can't
City.
wait.
And then hit us with like, aside, I guess it depends on how many races you watched yesterday, but what are you thinking? Like men's 1500, we had our first round. You have any takes? Like who's looking good to you right now?
That 1500s, there's too many people to really say anything.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, I got a little frustrated because my old college teammate Lucas Bonds ran he barely made it off a time qualifier.
Yeah.
But it was like 0.07 away from not making it. And then I talked to him after, and he's like, yeah, I thought with 50 meters to go, I had a lot of time to get a time qualifier, so I kind of relaxed. I was like, no, like,
No.
And then he's like, I didn't realize I was 0.07 away until after I finished. I was like, dude, you can't have that attitude. So
Yeah. Well, sweet. Well, Conner, we appreciate you stopping by. I'm sure we'll check in with you before Paris. And if you have any course tips or any sort of training advice, because my training is at 0 right now.
All right,
for
well,
Paris. But
I'd say go for a run.
Yeah, go for a run.
Yeah.
Probably go run on Priest Trail.
Yeah. He's like, okay, Priest Trail, get a few strides, and let's
Do
start
what
there.
I can't do.
Let's
it.
start there. Yeah.
All right, Conner. Well, I appreciate it. We'll be right back with our next guest shortly. All right, we are back, CITIUS MAG live from Eugene, Oregon, and we are joined now by last night's 4th place finisher in the U.S. 10,000 meter final, Drew Hunter, with one of the gutsiest performances we saw yesterday. How'd you sleep last night? Like,
Did you sleep last night? Yeah.
Not much.
Yeah.
I think I went to bed at like 2:30, something like that. I put on Dune at one point. I was like kind of amped, so you know, I wanted to hear some and really get going.
You wanted to get some real throat singing.
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. People are walking by your room and they're like, "Oh man, it's getting weird in there."
Exactly. Yeah.
Overall, you're proud of that race.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it was like as anyone knows who follows the sport closely, it would have been a 1% chance of me, running 26:59, getting top 3, or running fast enough to be in the world rank. I mean, this is only my second 10K ever, so I just got into the world ranking.
I pulled out the road to Paris, and obviously you weren't on there, but I was I was sitting next to Mitch, and we were crunching numbers, and I was like, how fast does this race need to be for Drew to make it? And it was it wasn't just you. A lot of the guys in that front pack, realistically, didn't have as good odds to make the Olympic team, but were just sticking their noses in it because it is a national championship.
Yeah, and I just for me, I just was so committed to that's what I was telling myself the whole time. I was I'm just so committed to racing as hard as I can, and I just was I think I can compete with those guys, and I just kind of had that mindset the whole race, and I was I don't care if I get 4th, or I don't even care if I got 2nd or 3rd and I didn't get to go. It was about, conquering what the disbelief that I've had the last few years that I could compete with those guys. And so that was the plan.
Did you feel during the race, because the 10K, there's so much time to be in your head.
Yeah.
Were you battling those same thoughts during the race? Were you kind of having to talk yourself into the race and tell yourself no, I can do this. I can be with these guys. Was it kind of a battle the whole time?
Yeah, I mean, Eric's obviously running 10K because that's exactly how it goes. You basically have to show up every two or three laps with some sort of mantra you're fine, or you got this, or think about something. I was definitely recommitting the whole time. I felt really bad at 3K to 5K. I actually had a side stitch. I was actually working on the side stitch while on the back stretch of every I was basically massaging out this side stitch, and I was also leading the chase pack, so I was kind of busy.
A lot going on. You had the mantra. You had the side stitch. A little bit of throat singing going.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually caught a good wave with it was funny. I felt bad most of the race, and then 8 laps to go, I was okay, I actually feel pretty good. I think I'm ready to roll. Yeah. And then Grant goes at 1200, and I was dear God. And I was oh, I feel bad again. And so it was just, about recommitting and just staying with that group then.
You and Nico both had some crazy pain faces going on in that final, 1200. Was that just the hardest thing you've ever experienced in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I went to a pretty dark place yesterday. I have been, this whole year it's been weird. I have not been nervous for races, which I was a little kind of scared for. I've never had that in my career. It was the first time I've just not been nervous for races. And I remember actually talking to Kyle, and he's that's when you got to retire, is when you stop getting nervous for races. So I was oh,
yeah, maybe don't talk to Kyle pre-race again.
Yeah.
He's trying to get you to retire before the best race of your career.
Yeah. But I've just been really calm and just running with a lot of kind of calm confidence. But this race, all day, I was an absolute wreck with nerves. Yeah. Our media team for Tin Man Elite made this video, a tribute to the athletes, and it was basically all of our parents just being we're so proud of you. And I was crying all day. It was such a weird emotional, I was just being such a baby all day yesterday. I was just oh, people love me and care about me and want me to do well. And then I just manifested that into the race, and I just ran super, super hard.
You're kind of like a young veteran at this point.
Yeah.
You've been around for so long and you're still so young, but now you're kind of doing you've moved up.
Yeah.
You're not as focused on the 15 now, and you're moving up. Are you enjoying these distances? Has it been a bit of a mental shift for you to kind of get used to these new race distances?
Yeah, absolutely. I felt I was kind of forced into the 1500 the last few years just due to health issues. I just couldn't train. Yeah. I couldn't do the proper mileage and training for the 5K and 10K. I always thought those were my best events, but I just didn't feel like I actually, could prepare as well as, all the other guys were. So I kind of was like, let's just run the 1500 and try sprinting in practice and see how good we can get doing that. And I definitely struggled a little bit with that the last few years, but this last fall, I figured out a lot of my back issues and some other health issues that I was going through. And I took to, doing more mileage than I've ever done. And naturally that I feel like just has helped me in the 5 and the 10. And then also, there's definitely a mental switch that happens. Like training goes well, you start to feel good in longer workouts, you start to, believe in yourself. And there's kind of a snowball effect, and like consistency definitely compounds, where I was just showing up this year and I was like, I'm just as fit as these guys. Like I've actually put in the work. And if I can, get over my, the disbelief that I've had in my head that I can't compete with the best guys, and I can really run well.
Yeah, I'm so curious. So how bad did that get? Like those voices over the last couple of years where you just had those doubts that, you're shouting at yourself like, I don't belong here anymore.
Yeah.
Because this has been just your life, because of how talented you were at such a young age.
Yeah. I mean, I'm my own worst enemy for sure. Like I'm very, I'm very, when things are going poorly, like I'll have like the worst self-deprecating humor. Like I view, I talk really like harshly to myself. And I think, the opposite has been this year, where I've just been like, more uplifting and more gracious to myself, and been, like, you can be a good runner. You are a good runner. And, it's so annoying that those little things actually make a big difference, but everyone wants to think it's just like, how the training's going and everything, but man, like you become what you think you are. And I think, I thought for the last few years I was kind of a loser. So it was like, I raced like that. And this year I've definitely figured some things out, and I feel like I belong, and I feel like I can beat, all the guys I'm racing. And I've been running that way this year.
You've had a pretty legendary, career. You one of the best high school runners in history, but this race this race must be particularly satisfying and come at just like a real great time for you to have a really good race. Like, how does that feel compared to the other big races you've had?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the happiest 4th place finisher that'll walk away from this meet without a doubt.
You have to do team processing too, right?
I did it this morning. So, maybe we'll see what happens. But 100%. I mean, I had so many people tell me, and they were like, even though you got 4th, like that was the best race I've ever, like you just dug so deep. Yeah. And that was it. I just conquered everything that I, was kind of battling through the last few years. And it's so crazy what one race can do. Like I just, this has kind of been a, culmination of all the hard work I've put in the last few months, but I really think that there's a lot more to give. And I just think, this does just such wonders for my belief in myself as a runner.
Yeah, there's just like, I opened up Instagram this morning, and like there's just, because we did like the collab post with you, it's that comment section right now is just like overwhelming with just nonstop people just being like, that was amazing. You should be 100% proud of everything. I mean, is there anything so far? You probably don't even have time to go through like all the messages so far that has really stood out to you.
Yeah, I've had more people message me. I mean, I've got people back from high school I haven't spoken to in 8 years, ex-girlfriends. I'm kidding.
Yeah, they want you when you're up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. No, I've had like so many people reach out and say just such kind things. Like people just saying like, I've been following you for so long. I've been waiting for something like this. And yeah, I mean, I think when you're down in the dumps, it feels like it's just you versus the world. And then, you have something like this and you're like, oh, okay, people want me to do well and are cheering for me. And that means, so much.
One of the things, I think I brought this up when we had that like live podcast we did at BU that one day where, it was Ben Weingart, you, Sam Parsons, and it was in the earliest times of just like the Tin Man filming had like kind of just started. And I said like, oh, there's going to be a time like, in this day and age, like when it comes to like content being put out there, like people are so quick to like empty the clip on like, here's every single minute of this workout and that's it. But I'm like, there's going to be things that you want to hold on to, and then for these special moments down the road, like look back on. Do you ever find yourself kind of like, and not going back and watching yourself, but like it's out there, just sort of like the whole journey to get to this point, like, and it's just kind of cool to see all the ups and downs.
Yeah, it's definitely like a double-edged sword. I mean, I think what's cool with what our media team's been able to do at Tim and Elite is we've given people a reason to root for us.
Yeah.
Which I think is so important for the sport is like, why should anybody root for me if they don't know who I am? They don't know what my struggles have been or what things, even just me being a dad, just something relatable to them. Any of that stuff, like that's something that's really been cool that I've seen is like I have so many people reach out after these races and they're like, I've been following you for so long, and I'm like, that's a special side, but it's also like really hard sometimes to look back and be like, man, I had, I was so good a few years ago, and it's been rough for the last few years, and all that's documented. So, but at the end of the day, like, I'm a pretty forward-thinking person, so it's pretty easy for me to kind of like, be present and then just look to, what's coming next.
Yeah, I think we even have like probably footage of an unreleased like Tin Man workout that Mac I think went out to Boulder, and he was just like that day was just like kind of just chaotic in general, but like toward the end, like your wife I think was like water broke or something like that, and you just had to like bolt and leave.
Yeah, no, I actually have a funny story about that. So, Max at the track. I get this call from we actually had like, our workout was like a hard 800 and then we had some like threshold after and then like some 200s or something to finish. We're at the track and my wife's water breaks. I'm like, all right, I'm leaving. And my mom's like,
you got a hard 800.
No, literally. She's like, can you do the hard 800? And my wife in that moment almost killed like my mom.
It's going to take a little less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
He's got, come on. You can do it.
I did not do it. Just for anyone watching out there, I did not do the hard 800. And that's why my season was bad. But no, that was a pretty funny time. So yeah, maybe we can release that episode at some point.
We have that now. Baby number 2.
Yeah. September.
Mean,
it's kind of soon. Yeah.
That's. I mean, what are you most excited about? I guess, and what has been sort of like the biggest thing you've learned in your first year of being a dad?
Yeah, I feel like I like it feels like me. I love being a dad. I know that sounds like you're supposed to say that, but it's been the greatest blessing for me. I think it's helped my running a lot, just in terms of that. I show up to practice, I'm focused, I do my thing, and then I come home and I have my wife and my daughter, and this is the best job in the world. I spend more time with my daughter, as I'm sure Eric knows. You got a lot of downtime, so it's been a really a blessing. And they're here, and they got to she got to watch me race last night, and she's just at the point now, she's like 14 months where she was saying dad every time I ran by, and so there's a lot of special moments, and I got to keep running well because I want more of those. So yeah.
Your compilation on your Instagram story the other day was very cool. It's 2016. You here as a high schooler just signed your pro contract.
Yeah.
2021 was you here as a pro.
Yeah.
What stood out about that one?
I had a torn plantar, so I didn't race.
That's right.
Yeah. This is actually my first Olympic trial, so we're actually racing.
Oh wow! So you've been to but you've been to 3 Olympic trials.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I mean. You're a young veteran.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm just getting going, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's wild.
Yeah.
What do you envision the 2024 story post? I know 2028 story post looks like.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this was my victory lap year. For anyone close in my life, like this is last year on my contract. I've really struggled the last few years to enjoy running. And I was kind of like, I'm just not good enough to do this anymore. Like I'm pretty harsh on myself. And so I was like, I'm very black and white with things. I was like, oh, like I'm not running at the level I need to be at. I don't deserve to be a professional runner anymore. And so I was like looking for other jobs and other careers to kind of look into. And, but then I figured out a lot of my health stuff this fall. And like I said, things just kind of snowball, and I'm loving running more than ever now, and I just want to keep the train rolling. So 2028's obviously, I hope to be there, and I hope to be, a lot more better. I have a few more 10Ks under my belt, but yeah, I definitely kind of see myself, continuing to do this because I feel like I found a groove. So
with Reed around, I guess and seeing just kind of his training, does the marathon kind of appeal to you too? I mean, you got a couple more years probably in the 10K and then move up.
Yeah, no, that was my backup plan. I was like, I had so much fun. Like road races are the best. Like they're so like you're not nervous at all. You just rock up to the start of a road race and you're like, let's just do it. Like it's like there's not this, all day waiting and everything. So I would kind of, when I was struggling a little bit, I was like, maybe I could try like a half or something like that. But I have a lot more to give on the track. I'm not saying I won't do something like that in the future. I've always had I've always been good at the long races, so I could definitely see myself. And Reed's a great person to learn from. He's one of my best friends, and I feel like is just a wizard with how he races his marathons. I mean, on paper, he should not be finishing top 10 in majors, and he's done that multiple times now. So I love training with him. So it's a little motivation. He will not come back to the track. So it's either me going to the marathon or we're not training together.
It's so cool to just kind of see the resurgence of Tin Man Elite because, for a while there was sort of like the transition period with the coaching changes and then everyone's kind of performances also adjusting to that.
Yeah.
But now it's like, I feel like yesterday is like even just the beginning to another great chapter that hopefully extends 4 more years.
Yeah, no, I mean, the team's been through a lot the last few years and we've gotten a lot of scrutiny and it's been hard, I mean, like I hired my mom as a coach. It's a pretty in other sports that would be an insane thing to do. Maybe it was an insane thing to do, but for me it was like we believed in her so much and we knew that she could, get the team back on track and everyone's been running really well and the confidence is there and I feel like we're just a unit again. There was definitely a lot of like fragmented parts and we're all so invested in each other's racing. I mean, just Joey.
He made the final.
He made the final, and I mean,
to see.
Yeah, I mean, Joey was like a 14:30 guy in college. Like it's for anyone out there who wants a pro runner to follow, it's Joey Barriatua. He's been amazing, and Jones just developed him so well, the last few years, and it's the team's doing great, and Sam's over in Europe, and there's a lot more to give, and we're excited. I mean, we're looking to get new athletes, and we feel like that there's a lot more good stuff for Team Elite in the future.
Awesome, Drew. Well, I appreciate you stopping by to the CITIUS MAG pop-up that we've got going on here and just looking forward to everything that's in store. I mean, this 10K experiment working out and more to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Got the 5K coming up on Thursday. And
That's right.
So, just going to rest the next few days and see what we can do there.
How do you feel about a 3K and a 5K in the same weekend and probably making your pitch for if Kyle's out there watching?
I already told Kyle, I said, I'm in. So I told him,
challenger,
listen,
whatever,
I've been doing the same stuff for the last 10 years. I'd love to try something new. Why not? I would love to. I think it's cool. I mean, feels like there's a lot of excitement around our sport right now. So I definitely want to be engrossed in all that and be a part of it. So
awesome. All right. Thanks, Drew. Well, I appreciate you stopping by.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Drew.
Yep.
Sweet. All right, and now we're going to bring on our next guest, who will be right back in 2 or 3 minutes, so stay tuned.
All right, Mike, smaller.
All right, we are back for our final guest of CITIUS MAG live from Eugene. I'm Chris Chavez, joined by Eric Jenkins and Coach Mark Coogan of Team New Balance Boston, who is one of the most downloaded podcast episodes of the year so far. People really loved your office hours episode with us.
I don't know what I said, but
you just were dropping great knowledge the whole entire time. First day one of the trials, immediately pretty busy with 5 or 6 athletes competing, and 4 out of 5 make it through to the second round of their respective races. So great showing so far.
Yeah, we had a really good day yesterday. I'm happy how everybody ran. The only disappointment was Christian Noble, and he has really bad allergies, and his season's been a little bit up and down. He's healthy, but it's just kind of been an up and down year. So we got to figure that out. So I don't feel great about that, but everything else I'm pretty excited about.
Overall, just sort of take us through the spring and the early parts of the summer for the team. I mean, how did you go about structuring a lot of Flagstaff, right? Like structuring the training block for them.
Yeah, so like when we talked in Boston at NCAA's or the high school meet, we went out to Flagstaff not too long after that, maybe a week or 2 after that, and we stayed out there until Prefontaine, and then after Prefontaine, we went back to Boston, and Ellie went back to Vermont, and the trials were kind of the same amount of time at sea level as Ellie was before she got gold at World Indoor. So we felt pretty comfortable about letting her go back home and see family and be happy instead of being so far away. And the rest of the women on the team are running great. EMAC just ran 157. Heather ran 158. Katrina ran a big PR in the 10K. Kate is right at her PR last night in the 800. So I think we're in a pretty good spot. I don't know. So we'll see how it keeps playing out.
Ellie's having, the season of her life right now. Did you have any indications that was going to be the case? Have her workouts just been stellar, or is she someone who just kind of overperforms when it comes time to racing?
You could see the writing on the wall. We occasionally we do a really hard workout, but most of the time we just try to stay even keel. We figure like 2 months of consistent training is better than 3 weeks with 2 hard workouts, then you're taking a week off because you're dinged up or sore or something like that. So we did a really good workout, in December, and then we did a couple of good workouts at Flagstaff before.
That 800.
Yeah. So it's and we did a good 800 session in Cottonwood, Arizona before she ran that 5K. So, and we really thought let's run the 5K, pretty hard. I don't know if she necessarily ran all out when she ran 14:35, but or 30, whatever the heck she ran. But we wanted to see what it felt like to run a hard 15 a week later, because pre was going to be hard, and so she felt a teeny bit off at pre, I think, after the 5. So that's why we were like, oh, screw it, we won't do the 5, But then we're kind of sitting at home. We're like, well, this 5's not going to be as hard, probably. You never know. And then the 15 is definitely not going to be a 3:52 race. So I think we can handle it. And I think running the 5 it's better than Ellie sitting around. She's not a good sit around person. She's better getting her feet on the ground and get moving. And and if she's lucky enough to make the team on Monday night in the 5K, it'll take the pressure off the 1500 too.
Take me through the decision-making process to decide on the 15 5K double, and how did that come about? Because the schedule allows for it in Paris.
It does. We honestly, God, we were just going to do the 1500 here, and we just started talking about it a little bit more just at practice. She's been up in Vermont, but she comes down for her hard stuff usually, and we just started talking about it. And one day, it wasn't me. One day she's like, I think I'd like to do the 5, and I was like, it's fine with me. It's like it's your career. I like to guide them and help them the best I can, but I let them make decisions because it is their career. If you want to do the 15, do the 15. You want to do the 5, do the 5. You want to do both, let's try to figure out how to do both of them. And she's really happy because she felt really good last night. It wasn't too tough last night.
Yeah, and, it doesn't necessarily people love hearing just sort of a lot of your specifics when it comes to training. Altering that, at that point in the season where you have to factor in the 5K specific work, not all that different, right?
We didn't change anything.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't change one thing. I think. Yeah, we didn't change one thing. We just did the same workouts we would have done either way. We trained like a 3-5 person more than like a 15-8 person, and I think, with 3 rounds of the 15, it's going to be fairly warm, not too hot. It's going to turn in like the 3K types are going to do better than the 8-15 types. I think. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what I think.
What was the exact race plan, I guess, for last night? It seemed
night.
like Valby went off, did her thing that she usually does, is just running from the front. And then from there, Ellie, Carissa were just standing by. And then in the final K is when really Ellie just accelerated.
Yeah, I mean, I told Ellie she should not take the lead until, at the earliest 600 to go, no matter what. If it's an 18-minute race or a 14:30 race, she's not to take the lead until at the earliest 600 meters to go. And so she waited till Parker's a very, very good runner. So obviously, Parker was just kind of ratcheting it down because it got down to like 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think anybody was too concerned. My guess is Parker wasn't even too concerned in the last lap. She's like, I'm on it. Ellie was like, you could look at the TV, and at the screen, whatever it is.
Was it top 6 make it? It's like there's enough time.
Yeah. So I think, I think that, what's a hard 400 going to do? Like running a 65 or whatever the heck she ran, and if Parker runs a 68, who cares, right? They're going to run hard on Monday, and I think you can throw like Elise Craney in there. You can throw, Schweitzer in there, Ellie, Parker. There'll be a couple other people too. But that's how I think it's going to be a pretty hard race on Monday.
You probably have the best women's, training group in the country right now. Multiple women in that 1500 that have a real shot at making the team. Do you kind of think about, the final race and think about ways to all get them on the team together? Do you give them their own race plan to what suits them the best?
Yeah.
Like how do you think about that?
I mean, we've been talking about going 1, 2, 3 in the 1500 since the end of last summer.
Great chance for a New Balance sweep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
general, and there's a couple, Corey and Danny Jones too. So I mean, there's 5 really good New Balance people, and then Nikki's obviously running super well. So I think they will all. All of them. I don't know what's going to happen.
That's the beauty of the trials. Yeah.
So I mean, I've been watching the swimming and everything. Like I don't know. But we have a legit shot at going 1, 2, 3. And the cool thing is the other women on my team are going to know each other's race plans. I mean, they're all out there for themselves once the race starts. They're trying to kill each other, but they're going to know what the other person's plans are, and I think that's an advantage for us.
Yeah, take me back to 2021 with Ellie in the final, because she was the one who's essentially like, I'm going. Mm-hmm. Corey glued herself and ended up holding on to make the team. But what were the instructions before that race?
The race, Ellie wasn't supposed to take the lead until we were thinking between 400 and 800 meters, but she got knocked pretty hard off the line and hurt her foot and stepped on the rail. And so she was just like, screw this, I'm getting out of this trouble and we're going to run, and that, if you look at that run, that's an amazing run, 3:58 all by yourself, no rabbits, not one person helping, one of the fastest times. I don't know not many people can do that, right?
Yeah.
And so at least we know we have that, even at a few weeks ago when she didn't feel her best, she basically dragged the second group and ran 3:56, right? And she got nipped by Jess. Yeah, and Jess is a superstar, and just got nipped by her. And actually, Ellie was catching her again at the finish line when I think Ellie said, "Damn it," and woke herself up. That feeling you feel like you're done, and then you're like, I'm not done.
Especially when you do all the work that whole, you don't want someone getting you at the line.
And 3:56 flat's pretty good, So. So we're very comfortable with that. And in the trials, that other time, Heather's goal was kind of sit back and try to pick people off. We weren't sure if she was going to make the team or not make the team, but that was the goal, and she ran a perfect race.
Specific to Heather, this season in particular, just given kind of indoor season was a little bit tougher just because, she was still coming back from injury and, wasn't able to, get out there and race as much. But how have you been able to kind of map out sort of this trajectory so far this season? Because things are clicking at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, Heather's Heather's really good. I mean, remember 2 years ago, she was, second at Monaco in the 15, like ran really well in the Diamond League final. So, I mean, she knows inside that she's good. I don't have to tell her at practice that she's good every day. She knows that she's can do it. And we just had to take our time, like if we rushed when her IT band was bugging her last fall and last winter, then she probably would have got dinged up in March. So we're like, let's just build. Let's do tempo runs every week. Let's throw some hills in there. Let's stay off the track, do fartleks, and you can still like you can simulate a mile 3K workout doing 2 minutes on, a minute off, or something like that, instead of going to the track and running an 800s or whatever. So like we didn't baby her like running wise, but we kind of babied like staying away from the track or the tight turns and things like that. And like she was running better in practice than she was in the first couple of races. Like she was timid. We went to Raleigh Relay. She was a little bit timid, didn't even get in the race. And
that was a windy one, right?
It was windy, but she didn't even like Ray Tracy's women down at PC. They just took it right to her.
Yeah.
They just went out and ran hard. And she was like, damn, like, I missed the boat. I didn't think that would happen. And then the next race, she was a little bit better. Went to Flagstaff. Starts working out with Ellie and EMAC, and like they're all staying together in sessions. And go to the race in LA. She can't get in the fast heat. She gets a little pissed off. Just runs 4:02 solo. That means you can run under 4 minutes. You can do that all by yourself. Yeah. So did that. Then led the 800 that we did at Martinez, and ran 158. And, she went out a little bit too hard, like did all the work and got passed on the home stretch by
Emily ran 157.
157, yeah.
Oh.
So,
Did that any part make? I guess you guys have been just all in on the 1500, but that is the fastest time by an American woman so far this season.
Yeah.
No thought about like.
I know, no, yeah, we definitely like we didn't think about it, but we're like, oh.
That makes it better. 157 making it really hard to ignore. Like, maybe someone should do this one at the trials.
Yeah, and like why? I don't know. Like, I wish the 15 was first for all these things.
They would have followed last time's
I wish
schedule.
it went 15-5, 15-8. I really wish it did, because that would have made my whole team feel better. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Emily's she gets better every day, and she's really good. She's gonna be right there, and I wouldn't want to race her. So,
Is this the year potentially? I mean, like we see. Potentially 4 women break 4 minutes, and a woman who breaks 4 doesn't make the team for the 1500.
Oh,
it's possible.
It's really possible. I could see 5 people maybe breaking 4 minutes. I think the women's 15 is the hardest. It's the hardest women's distance race. I mean, I can't compare it to sprinting and stuff. Like they're so freaking good and everything, but. In the distance running, definitely. I think the 15 right now. Yeah. The 8 has like superstars, but they're not out there yet. Like a thing. She's obviously a superstar, but I haven't seen much of her. And Ajay, she's a superstar. She looked better last night. Raven, like people are. If they're. Maybe they're really smart and they're like nailing it here, and then they're gonna really hit it at Paris. Well, I'm trying to hit it here with my group. I don't know.
In general, just sort of, I know Ellie's probably not the type of person poring over the results of like the Kenyan Olympic trials or like the Ethiopian trials to see just like what the times have been so far this season. Maybe like a reporter asks her, just sort of like, oh, this person ran this. Like, what do you think about your medal chances for the Olympic Games? Like seeing Faith solo that 353, I think it was, out in Kenya.
Yeah.
The Ethiopian 10K trials didn't have Gudaf Sagai, so I think like that probably means she'll run like the 5K 15.
Yeah.
You're the one who probably is starting to think of like all these different scenarios of who Ellie will face up against potentially at the Olympics. So, how do you size up sort of the international scene?
Yeah, well, like one thing that I think is really cool about like Flagstaff, so Susan Ijori, so she made the Kenyan 1500 meter team, and she ran a lot with us from January 1st until a few weeks ago, and I could see her just getting better and better and better. Like she was the only one that could, like if we did a really hard workout, she would hang with Ellie for the first part and then get dropped, but she might be ahead of EMAC, right? So I kept telling Stephen Haas, I was like, Susan's good, you know. Like Stephen's a busy guy. He's like, you know, he's at different races and everything. And Susan did a workout, and I was like, oh my God, you know.
Yeah.
And then she ran, she ran 358 in LA or something, or 359, and then she ran. Was it 4 flat in the Kenya trials at 5,000 feet or whatever?
And I think
6,
they went out in 2 minutes flat or something like that.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So like when I see that, and Ellie knows, like, at the minimum she's the same, right? And so like I think Ellie's like in her head, like, all right, if I get to Paris and I'm lucky enough to run the 1500, she knows she'll get through the rounds. It's a little tricky, but she's pretty confident she'll get through the rounds, and she knows she's gonna have a rabbit there because like one, you know, Faith or somebody's gonna push the pace, and she'll try really hard to get on it. You know, like maybe a little bit like Laura Muir did in the day. You know, Laura's probably gonna do it again. Like Laura's freaking good too. You know, like she would be someone like that. I think's a good person to like emulate. You know.
Yeah. Stephen Haas, also probably one of the only people in this entire stadium who was at the Kenyan Olympic trials and then also here. It's just kind of like how that man gets out and about is just remarkable. But that also speaks to sort of like one thing that maybe we touched on back in March was just sort of like the ability for, you know, you link up with Haas sometimes just to, you know, get athletes in the same workouts here and there, but like there is a little bit of like teamwork among the coaches to get your athletes ready for, you know, big championship performances.
Yeah, and I mean there's no secrets. I mean Eric ran, you know, it's like everybody's basically doing the same thing, and like if you can run with somebody that's the same as you or maybe a little bit better than you, then like you're gonna improve. You know, like when I was running, I was training with all the really good guys in Providence, the English and Irish guys at PC, and we moved to Boulder, Colorado. And John Doherty, who was a really good runner, an Irishman, he said, when you get to Boulder, if I was you, I'd just go knock on Arturo Barrios' door and follow him around, do every run he does. You know, and I went and found Arturo, introduced myself. He had the world record at 10K. He's like, you can run with me whenever you want. I'm surprised more people don't run with me. and then I like met Mark Platches, and I knew Jonesy, and like so we had like an organic group where all the guys in Boulder were really nice to me, and that's where I really improved a lot, going out there and seeing like they train. Like, we talked about this in March or whatever, but like they didn't train crazy. They just trained smart and consistent, and like tried not to get injured, and 8 months or 6 months of consistent training is way better than 3 weeks of it.
Yeah. Katie Mitchell, one of the athletes I think that, you know, this is just sort of like your special skill. You see how they run in college, you see a lot of potential, and, you know, now I think yesterday with that 800-meter PR, really strong, sort of like coming on again, like at the right time.
Yeah, well, I was talking about it this morning with Dan Vernon. He's a photographer. He's doing a lot of Nike, New Balance photos out here, and he's like, holy crap, Mark! Like Kate looked beautiful the way she, you know, like she just stayed there, and like she was hoping something would open up in front of her. Like I tell, like
that final 100, like she navigated it well.
Yeah, and those women can kick and they're fast, and she was matching them stride for stride. And like all the races she ran this spring, like she always ended up in like lane 2. She's running like 812 meters. She's going out like either too fast or too slow. And like last night, she just kind of hit it, you know. So I think she's gonna. It's gonna be really hard to make the final. But I think she's got an outside shot, you know.
Yeah.
Like, just like get it, you know. If she runs 2 flat, 159. You know, she's in that kind of shape.
Yeah,
So
and you never know.
you
I guess
don't
like
know.
the way that these races play out.
And the eight's always crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's always crazy.
Like, I was, when you brought up before, just sort of like a thing being a superstar, it just kind of does also go to show you just how different like all these coaches are. Like Bobby not racing her since last September.
Yeah.
You've never had like an athlete, unless they were injured, go that long probably without a racing layoff. Like racing is important.
Yeah, I think it's important. I don't know what they do, but like my guess is something was wrong because people want to race. You don't train to train, you train to race, and like you want to get out there.
Yeah.
You know? So, but some people don't like to race a ton. You know, But like Kate on my team, she needs a race. She, you know, like she was intimidated by everybody at first, and now she's realizing that they're the same as she is. You know, Ellie's the same as her. You know, Ellie complains, or you know, Schiefer complains, or whatever. You know, like they're the same. And that's as soon as you realize that, you probably found out, like once you realized everybody was the same when you left Northeastern and went out to Oregon, you're like, oh, these guys are they're clowns. They're the same as me or whatever.
No.
Like, I can do this.
Yeah, you
right?
walk in the Oregon locker room, you're like, these guys are clowns.
You know what I mean, though, right?
Of course. Once you realize that even like the best competitor, the people that you put on the pedestal, they're just human. Everybody's can be beaten on any day. That's when like you start building confidence and understanding you can actually win these races.
Exactly.
Mark, is this the most stressful week of your job?
Yes, by far. Yep. It's hard to sleep. I don't feel well.
What do you like, I guess, then on July 1st? Like, is that just sort of like, all right, get me a vacation?
Yeah, I think it's going to be more like after the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're going to like we're trying not to get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
So, I think that's dangerous, but like as soon as hopefully we have some success here, and then we have to figure out like exactly what to do. I want to do it right, you know. And Ellie is a special person, special circumstances because she has the baby.
Mm-hmm.
She's a homebody, you know. Like if she wasn't such a homebody and had the baby, I'd be like, all right, you're on a plane tomorrow to
Flagstaff?
to Switzerland. So
Okay.
Emirates,
Emirates. Yeah.
And let's get your butt up there, you know. Let's get 3 weeks in, and you know,
Make the travel to Europe and the transition is a lot easier.
Yeah, if you want to go to the opening ceremonies, just go down the day before, get credentialed, do all that stuff, then get the train back up, and then we'll stay up there, you know, until a few days before your race and come down. But I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. You know, if Heather makes it, I'm going to encourage her to do it. You know, Leah Meyer, a steeplechase girl from Germany, that's on our team. Who's I think she can make the Olympic final in the steeple. She's going up there next week.
Wow.
And
I guess like I like hearing that from you as a coach. Is sort of like because for someone like Ellie and Heather, like this will be potentially their second team, but the opening ceremonies, festivities, and all that stuff, like it just wasn't the same in Tokyo. That like for them to relish that this time around, you know, it's fun that you're just like, go do it, and then like we'll get back to work immediately after that.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to live a little bit, right? And the other thing, like when Heather had her best summer, like we were in altitude like up to like in April and May and whatever, but we weren't up there June, July, August, and so. I mean, she killed it, right? So, like, it's good to be able to do it, but you don't need it either. You know, once you're rolling and running hard, like, you don't need it. And they're going to be doing the 15, so I don't think it's quite as important as like the 5 or a 10 or a marathon too. So, you know.
It's interesting to hear you say, because for a lot of coaches, and it's like, here's how we do it. It's my like, if you know, a lot of people would say to Ellie, like, I know you've got a family, but like, I need you here at this date, like. It's so, but at the end of the day, these are adults, and so you let Ellie do her thing to a certain extent, and then like
that's the family man in you. I think that also just kind of like takes things into account.
Yeah. So it's like like do you
a lot of flexibility?
Yeah, you have some flexibility in the overall like lifestyle and training plan in a way.
Yeah, I mean it's their career, right? So I'm not going to tell someone like. I'll tell them, like, I don't think you should do this or do that, but I'm not going to say, like, you can't go home for a weekend. Like, give me a break, right?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't like that, you know? Like, if Katrina was training in Boston and I lived 2 hours away and she wanted to come home and do her laundry and have dinner at home on Sunday and they said no, I'd be like, this is not the team, you know? And Ellie and I, we either talk or text every day when she's up in Vermont. So it's almost like we're there. You know, like when we're in Flag, I'll go to practice with them and, you know, either bike with them or drive with them or something. But then I get out of their hair, you know, like I'll go back to where I'm staying and do my emails or whatever I have to do for New Balance. And they do their own thing. And so, so like I think I'm flexible, but we do it in the right a way that, like the only thing Ellie's going to do up there by accident is go too hard. So it's like, so I'm always like easy, you know, like I'm like, you know, 4 or 5 of these, you know, like if you feel tired, if it's crappy, windy, snowing, just do 4 of them, you know, let's not cook ourselves, you know, like we always talk about not being greedy, like not being greedy, you know, so.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time to stop by. The New Balance setup here is pretty awesome.
Gotta
Get
like New
yourself some
Balance.
ice cream downstairs.
Yeah, it's a
They
good
got
idea.
everyone's favorite flavors. I didn't see your name listed on there. What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Banana. I
Banana.
love banana ice cream.
All right.
Wow.
We got to
Good
get
answer,
it
yeah.
written in pencil, I guess, on all of the menus down there.
Yeah,
It's like
banana.
Coach Mark Coogan. Banana.
Yeah.
Love it.
I don't even think, do they carry a lot of banana? They might not even have banana down
No,
there.
Have you heard of Haji's back home?
I don't know if I have.
No.
Yeah.
So there's one in Portsmouth, I think.
Yeah,
There's one
okay.
there's one in Newburyport.
Yeah.
There's one in Exeter. There's
Yeah.
one in Greenland.
They got a good banana?
Banana. So
Yeah.
I get like a half gallon of it,
Yeah.
and then I put M&Ms in it. I just like
man.
watch the socks or the seltzer something that night.
Before you know it, you're down to the end of a half gallon. Like, yeah, okay. Time to go to bed.
And then they make fun how I say banana or Katrina or something like that. I'll get grief from like they'll be making fun of me in about 10 minutes if they're watching this at home.
I love that. Well, Coach, I appreciate you stopping by, and I guess stress levels will only go up as the trials go along, but no, always glad you make time for us, and
No, thank you.
we're looking forward to seeing how the team performs over the next
Nah,
couple days.
we're glad we're glad you guys are here. Supporting New Balance and doing your work. Eric looks good in New Balance gear.
Yeah, no, I like it. Feels good. Feels good. I like it.
What could have been
Yeah.
many years
But
ago.
then I tried.
You tried.
I wanted Johnny and him.
I was close. I was close. I was.
And Will Gohegan. That's the three I
Yeah.
wanted. I was
No,
like, these are the three we wanted.
It was either between Nike and New Balance. And actually, New Balance never came at me with an offer. 'Cause I was leaning towards New Balance. I would love to be back on the East Coast in Boston. yeah.
What could have been?
Yeah. Probably would have had Olympic gold medal.
For
Just
sure would have had
kidding.
Olympic gold. Yeah. Half gallons of banana ice cream, Olympic gold. What can you do?
You'd be
That sounds
living
like the
large.
ideal setup. Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for day 2 of CITIUS MAG live from Eugene. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We will be back here at the CITIUS MAG Scoop right next to Prince Buckler's on 19th and Agate. Right after the races, we're rushing back. We got the 100-meter final tonight, and so that'll be exciting. We'll catch us for some post-race analysis, commentary, some jokes. So we'll see you back on the CITIUS MAG YouTube channel immediately following tonight's evening session. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in a couple hours.